What's going on YouTube? Earth Power here, CVH on camera.
What's up?
And we have another deck profile for you for the Channel Earth Power Bracket Tournament in 2023.
Colon.
The
best deck.
The best deck. I don't, you guys had all the words to use. Either way, this is Survivors. It will be playing against Fire Nature Rush in the bracket tournament. This deck was kind of a... I don't know where to start with this because I put Survivor decks together in the past. If you guys have been long-time watchers of the channel, you can go back and find them. I had like these 50 card versions of this deck that were just doing a lot of things they didn't need to do. When we switched over to the Finnish meta and started doing the ban list, this deck kind of turned a corner, and Spencer actually turned it on to the idea of like you can just rely on Factory Shell and Graveworm Q and just cycle out the rest of your little things and let the rest of the deck be a toolbox. And then as we came to just understand the deck a little bit better, that's just how it should have been being played the whole time. So the whole point of this deck is for it to curve kind of like a tempo deck. Let Blazosaur and Smashorn Q start off early. Those are your main drops early. Those are really your only drops early outside of the Gonta Bronze Arm, which we'll get to here in a second for the rest of the toolbox piece. But these make everything big. These let you do cool tempo things. Graveworm basically keeps you in the game. If you are playing against control, Factory Shell keeps you in the game against all of the other kind of tempo and mid-range decks. And then Q-Tronic just hits the board late and can be a triple breaker plus as long as you have two other survivors on board. And the way this deck can just kind of cycle and play out against control decks and aggro decks, these things just are really hard to deal with. This is a floater that no one wants to kill, and if you start playing other survivors or you have two on the board, you're just searching for two things every turn. The rest of the deck is just to play into that to help with its matchups. Gonta is another early turn creature that can help against the other tempo decks, rush decks, a couple of Bronze Arm tribes to help with the mana ramp when you need it. Similar to Volcano Charger, which lets you kill some of the aggro cards early and continue to ramp and get into Factory Shell. The rest of this is just board removal and in the way of Searing Wave, which is just our kind of anti-Wave Striker deck card at the moment, and just a way to clear board against all the other rushes and aggros. And then your Shield Blasts, Tornado Flame being the best one in fire, Terra Pit being Terra Pit. Don't really have to explain it much. And then this deck still does some cool things with discard because you can kind of, in an anti-way of kind of like drawing while attacking, now you're discarding cards out of your opponent's hand, so you're keeping them at a neutral state while you're swinging in with survivors, which is what Skull Sweepers say to do in Cranium Clamp. You just can't not play. And with two Soul Swaps, that might be kind of one of the hits against this deck versus like some of the forms of this deck we've seen in other forums. But Soulswap still lets you do all the cool stuff that the deck was already doing, and it just lives. As long as you have a Graveworm or a Factory Shell still in your deck somewhere in your hand, like this deck just cycles itself, and it's pretty cool to watch it when it gets going. It's the snowball that's almost impossible to stop once it starts. So that's the deck. I don't know if you have any comments just from playing against it or watching it at all, but
I've never played with it, but it can be really scary when you haven't pressured them enough and they have a Factory Shell and a couple Graveworms.
Yeah. We had a match against Deck Out, if we ever post that, if you guys ever see that one. And Deck Out just can't do anything to it. As long as a Graveworm and Factory Shell exist, it just cycles out and can't be stopped. So without board sweep, this deck just does some really cool things, and Q-Tronic hits like a freight train. So hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like down below. Let us know what you think. I know the toolbox piece of this deck definitely can be refined and worked on. It's just based on the quote-unquote meta where it's playing. But this is the one we're going with. So leave a like, comment, let us know what you think. And otherwise, we'll see this against Fire Nature Rush here very soon. See you guys next time.
Beach.